Virgo, they said your name. In a room full of people who know them, people whose opinions matter to them, people they have known long enough and trusted deeply enough to let inside the walls of what they actually feel rather than the carefully maintained exterior of what they want the world to see. They said your name. And then they said something after it that stopped the room. They said they are going to marry you, not as a passing comment, not as the kind of throwaway romantic hyperbole that gets spoken in the early glow of infatuation and dissolves before anyone takes it seriously, not as a joke dressed up as a declaration. They said it the way people say things when they have arrived somewhere internally that is past the point of self editing. When the truth of what they know has become too large and too solid to stay inside the polite container of what is socially appropriate to admit, they meant it. And the people in that room knew they meant it. Stay with me, because this reading goes somewhere that I think part of you has been quietly, carefully, almost superstitiously hoping to arrive at for a while now. And I want to take you there properly with the full weight of everything that belongs to this moment. Let me tell you about the moment it was said, because how it happened tells you everything about the quality of what lives behind it. It was not a romantic setting. It was not a curated moment designed to produce a particular impression. It was the kind of ordinary, unguarded, completely unrehearsed situation that produces the most honest confessions, the kind where the defenses are down because there is no obvious reason to have them up, where the conversation went somewhere unexpected and they followed it without thinking first, without calculating the response, without the usual internal editing process that keeps our most vulnerable truths from reaching the surface prematurely. Something was said by someone in the room, perhaps about relationships, perhaps about the future, perhaps something entirely unrelated that simply created a crack in the normal surface through which what was actually living in them could suddenly, unstoppably move. And it moved fast, without warning, with the specific velocity of something that has been contained under pressure for long enough that when the opening appeared, there was no question of whether it would come through. It came through. Your name. And the word Mary, and the absolute bone level, this is not up for debate, certainty in their voice when they said it. The room went quiet for a moment, because the people who know them recognized immediately that this was not performance, was not the romantic posturing of someone who enjoys the drama of grand declarations. This was the specific, quiet, slightly terrifying honesty of someone who had just said out loud the thing that had been most true in them for longer than anyone in that room had realized. Hmm. Let me speak to what happened after the words landed, because the aftermath is where the real story lives. There was a response. Of course there was. People who care about someone do not receive a statement like that in silence and then simply move on to the next topic. There were questions. There was the specific mixture of teasing and genuine curiosity that close friends deploy when they sense they have stumbled onto something real and want to understand its full dimensions. And this person answered, not defensively, not with the backpedaling and qualification of someone who had said more than they intended and was now managing the damage. With the specific, calm, unshakable steadiness of someone who had arrived at a conclusion through a process thorough enough that the conclusion does not require defending. They talked about you at length with a specificity that surprised the people listening. Because it is one thing to declare that you are going to marry someone, it is another thing entirely to then describe that person with the kind of detail and accuracy and genuine appreciation that only comes from paying extraordinarily close attention for an extraordinarily sustained period of time. They described you, not the surface version, not the external, visible, publicly accessible version of who you are, the real one, the specific, layered, deeply observed version that only exists in the mind of someone who has been watching you with the quality of attention that love produces, who has been registering not just what you do, but how you do it, not just what you say, but what you do not say and what that silence contains, not just who you are in the obvious moments, but who you are in the quiet ones, the unguarded ones, the ones that reveal the actual texture of a person's character when they are not performing for anyone. They know that texture. They described it to a room full of people, and by the time they were finished, the people listening were not teasing anymore. They were just listening. Let me pull the cards in now because I feel them pressing forward strongly, and what they are showing is too specific to hold back. The card that came through immediately for this person is the Four of Wands. And I want to sit with this because the Four of Wands is not typically the card people expect in a reading about deep, private, soul level feeling. It is a celebration card, a homecoming card, the card of two people arriving at something they built together and standing in the joy of having arrived. It is the card of commitment made joyful, of love that has graduated from feeling into intention. This card does not show up for casual feelings. It does not show up for the kind of romantic interest that is genuinely uncertain about its own depth or longevity. It shows up when something has been decided, when the interior landscape of a person has organized itself around a particular truth in a way that has the quality of permanence rather than the quality of hope. This person has not decided they want to marry you in the airy, aspirational sense of wishing for something beautiful. They have decided in the way the Four of Wands means decided, structurally, fundamentally, in the place where decisions live that do not get revisited because they do not need to be. The second card is the Ace of Cups. New emotional beginning, the purest expression of feeling before it has been complicated by circumstance or timing or the thousand ordinary difficulties that love encounters on its way from feeling to form. This card appearing alongside the Four of Wands tells me something specific and important. What this person feels has not been diminished by whatever the current circumstances between you are. Whatever distance exists, whatever the present shape of your dynamic, whatever has or has not been said between you directly, the feeling is intact, pure, more alive than it was when it began rather than less. That does not happen with feelings that are not real. Real feelings survive the complications. Theirs has. Does something in you already know this? Not because you were told, but because you felt it. In the specific way that certain people's energy toward you is unmistakable, no matter how carefully they try to contain it. In the quality of their attention when they are near you, in the particular way your name sounds when they say it, in something beneath the surface of every interaction that has a warmth and an intentionality that goes beyond what the situation technically calls for. Let me know in the comments if this is landing somewhere specific. Tell me what you felt the moment you read the title of this reading, because I think many of you had a physical response before you even clicked, before you even read a single word. And that response was not excitement about a reading, it was recognition. I want to speak now to the friends, the ones who were in the room, the ones who received this confession and who are now carrying it in the specific way that people carry information that belongs to someone else, with care, with the particular discretion of people who understand that what was shared with them was not shared casually and deserves to be handled accordingly, but also with a certain feeling, because witnessing someone you care about say something that honest, that vulnerable, that certain about another person has an effect on the people witnessing it. It moves them, it reminds them of something, of what it looks like when someone loves another person with the specific quality of love that does not negotiate with itself, that does not hedge or qualify or hold a portion back as insurance against disappointment. The full kind. And these friends watching this person speak about you with that quality have collectively arrived at a position. They are rooting for this, not because they know you well or have their own relationship with you or have assessed the situation from multiple angles, but because of what they saw in their friend when your name was in their mouth, because of what happened to someone they love when they allowed themselves to tell the truth about what they feel. Something lit up. And the people who love someone want to see them lit up like that. They are quietly, collectively, perhaps even actively rooting for what this person has declared. I want to go into something that I feel is important for Virgo to hear in this specific reading. Something that I have been holding until this moment because it needed everything that came before it to make it land properly. You have probably had moments of doubt about this person, about what they actually feel versus what they show, about whether the depth you sense in them when you are together is as real as it feels, or whether you are perhaps reading more into things than is actually there. Whether what exists between you is as significant to them as it is to you, or whether the asymmetry of feeling you sometimes fear might be closer to the truth than you want it to be. I want you to hear this clearly. There is no asymmetry. What you sense is not you reading into things. What you feel in them when the guards are down and the moment is genuine is not wishful interpretation of something neutral. It is accurate reception of something real. Your perception of this person is not distorted by your own feeling for them. It is confirmed by it. You have been picking up on something true, something that has been building in them with the specific quiet momentum of something that was always going to arrive at exactly the place it has arrived, where they are saying your name to their closest people with the word Mary attached to it and meaning every syllable. Your intuition about this person has not been wrong, not once. Let me speak to the word serious, because it is in the title of this reading and it is important and it deserves its own examination. Dead serious. Not the kind of serious that is produced by a particularly romantic evening or a moment of heightened emotion that will temper when the emotions normalize. The kind of serious that lives in the bones, that has been tested by time and by distance and by the ordinary, unglamorous, sometimes difficult reality of knowing someone well enough to see their full picture. This person knows your full picture, not the curated version, not the version you present when you are being careful about what you let people see, the actual one, with the complexity and the layers and the parts that are still being worked on, and the parts that you are most proud of, and the parts that you are not sure how to explain to people who have not taken the time to understand them. They have taken the time. And having taken that time, having seen the full picture in all its honest complexity, they are more certain, not less. That is the quality of serious I am describing. Not the certainty of someone who has idealized you into something simpler and more manageable than what you actually are, but the certainty of someone who has seen the real thing, every complicated and beautiful and occasionally contradictory part of it, and has made their decision from that full seeing. There is nothing more solid than that kind of certainty, and it belongs to you. Now I need to speak to something that I feel in the energy that goes deeper than the confession and the friends and the cards and everything else I have described. There is a conversation coming, not the conversation that happened in that room full of friends, a different one, a direct one, the one that this person has been building toward with the specific, patient, quietly terrifying courage of someone who knows that what they are about to say is going to change everything and who wants to be ready when they say it. They are preparing, not in a way that anyone around them would necessarily recognize as preparation, not outwardly or obviously, but in the interior, in the private rehearsal of what honesty looks like when it is this large and this specific and this directed at one particular person who matters more than the outcome. Because that is the thing about saying something like this to the actual person. It is one thing to say it to friends. The friends are safe. The friends receive it without having the power to fundamentally alter the landscape of your life with their response. They can react, but they cannot ultimately determine anything. You can determine everything, and this person knows that, and they are building toward giving you that power anyway. Because some feelings are too true to be kept safely contained behind the protective distance of saying them to everyone except the one person they are about. Virgo, I want to speak to you now, directly, in the way I would speak to someone sitting across from me who needed to hear something important and was ready to receive it. You have been careful with your heart in this situation, appropriately careful, wisely careful, in the specific way that Virgo is careful when something matters enough to warrant protection, not cold, not closed, but measured, deliberate, giving access in increments rather than all at once, watching, assessing, applying the extraordinary perceptive intelligence that is your particular gift to the question of whether what is being offered to you is real enough and solid enough to deserve the full weight of your trust. That carefulness has been right. Not because this person needed to be suspected or tested or held at arm's length indefinitely, but because you deserve to open yourself to something that is genuinely worthy of you. And the process of careful, intelligent, Virgo style discernment has been your way of making sure that when you do open, you are opening to the real thing. This is the real thing. Let that land, not as a command, not as pressure to feel or decide anything before you are ready, but as permission. Permission to let the carefulness begin to ease. Permission to let what you have been sensing without being able to fully confirm be confirmed. Permission to know, finally, and without the residual doubt that uncertainty produces, that what is being directed toward you from this person is as real and as solid and as serious as the most honest part of you already suspected. You do not have to do anything with that permission today, but you can stop holding yourself apart from the knowing of it. Let me speak to something beautiful that I feel in the energy of this reading before we close. Something that goes beyond the specific situation and touches something larger about where you are in your life. You are someone people want to build with, not just this person, not just in the context of romantic love, but in the broader, more fundamental sense of being someone whose presence in a life adds something structural to it, something that makes the life more solid, more real, more capable of holding what is meant to be held. That quality in you is not accidental. It is not luck or circumstance or the fortunate byproduct of a good personality. It is the result of everything you have invested in becoming who you are. Every decision to choose integrity when something easier was available. Every moment of showing up fully when a partial presence would have been accepted. Every time you loved something or someone with the full, methodical, genuinely devoted quality of love that Virgo is capable of when they have decided that something is worth it. All of that investment has produced something, a person who is worth declaring intentions about to a room full of friends, a person worth saying the word marry over with complete, unshakable, dead serious certainty. As we close, I want to give you something to carry, not a directive, not a next step, just a truth. Whatever has felt uncertain about this connection, whatever questions have lived in the quiet of your own wondering, whatever moments of doubt or confusion or the particular loneliness of not knowing where you stand, those things are not the full picture. The full picture includes a room full of people who now know something about what you mean to someone. The full picture includes a declaration, spoken with the kind of certainty that does not need an audience's validation to sustain itself. The full picture includes a person who has seen you, really seen you, and responded to that seeing, not with ambivalence or uncertainty or the hedging language of someone who is still deciding, with a word that means forever and meant it. Let yourself receive that today, Virgo, without immediately analyzing it or qualifying it or waiting for additional evidence before allowing it to be real. It is already real. It has been real. You are simply, finally, being given the confirmation of what was always true. Leave me something in the comments today. Anything, one word, one sentence, one honest fragment of what this reading produced in you. Because this community holds everything you offer it with genuine care, and your words here have a life beyond this moment. Until next time, Virgo, someone looked their closest people in the eyes today, said your name, and meant every impossible, terrifying, beautiful word that followed it. And the room went quiet because everyone in it knew they were not joking.